let's continue our discussion on My Poli-Sci Lab. We've already gone through how to log in and register with a username and password. Now we need to get into the site for your student resources and to be able to do the quizzes as assigned in the different learning modules. So let's go to My Poli-Sci Lab, not Pegasus, not Course Compass, My Poli-Sci Lab. We can quickly choose the link to the different texts. You know which one we're doing now, the Essentials of American Government 2011 edition. Choose that text. Again, this is a little bit slow because I'm using Camtasia. Your browser will work faster, hopefully. Now, when you get to this page, let me give you a little hint. If you wish, you can go up here to this URL address, your box up here, and you can make this into a favorite. If you do such, then you're not going to have to go through the first page and then having to find your textbook and so forth. You can just make that into a favorite. I'm not going to do that. Show you how to do that because I don't know which browser you're using. It could be Internet Explorer 7 or 8, it could be Firefox, it could be Safari, whatever. But my point is, you know how to make a favorite, you know how to add it to your favorites bar. That would be something you can do. So anyway, on the login page, you have to do this every time you go into My Poli-Sci Lab. Log in. I'm going to log in as my fake student. Put in the password. And log in. Now, this is the next step. If you have multiple classes, you're going to have to choose the class that you want to enter. Now, I've put this fake student into two different classes, one for NWCCD and the other one for Western. You just have to, I'm just going to enter the one class. And when I do, up pops My Poli-Sci Lab. Now if you haven't joined the class yet, up here in the upper right hand corner, you can click on that tab to join a class. I've given you in email on how to register for My Poli-Sci Lab the class code that I've set up. You enter that code and you'll be able to get into class, and I can see the quizzes that you take, and I can transfer the scores you have in the quizzes over to Blackboard's My Grades. Now, a couple of things about this page. You have the middle. These are things that will change every week. Some of you may wish to do a quick opinion paper. We may refer to some of these in our discussion boards, but you'll have different videos here. You have 3 here this week: video on healthcare, one on economic impact of the BP blowout, and another opinion poll on the U.S. economy. These are good things to look at to keep apprised of the issues in politics. On the right side, you have news reviews of the week's news. There's AP News Feed you could use for a newspaper to keep track of current events. There's a weekly quiz on the headline. There's a weekly poll that you can participate in with students across the United States on political issues. You can even register to vote on this site. Later on, we'll look at the citizenship test that resident aliens have to take in order to become naturalized and become United States citizens. It's an interesting test. You can even, if those of you that use Twitter, you can follow everything on Twitter. More importantly, on the left side, these are the chapters that we will be going through. And yes, I know, and some of you have told me such, I realize that there are 21 chapters, and the last 7 or 8 or so have to do with Texas. Well, it's just the way that Pearson does their ebook and this website. We're not going to go through anything on Texas. And the first 12 chapters are the same regardless of which essentials book you're using, so we're doing those. But if you click on chapter 1 here, you'll have an outline on the left side for all the different chapters, but here's chapter 1. Pre-test to see the relevance of politics in everyday life. See how much you already know before you start reading the chapter. There are post-tests that you can take after you've read the chapter to test just how much you learned. There's a chapter exam that you can take to, again, to test your own self-learning and what you have read. Pre-test, post-test, and chapter exam do not count in your grade, but it's a good way to check yourself and make sure that you understand what you're reading. As I tell you in the course calendar, that even though these don't count, some questions that will be on your 2-unit test will come from these pre, post, and chapter exams. Up to you to take them. You have an e-text. Some of you choose to just save your money and not buy a hard copy, and here's the ebook that you can go through, and you can add notes on the ebook for yourself if you want to. There's flashcards that you can use to go through key terms by the learning objectives. Possibly a good way for you to study for the test. There's a multimedia that are other comparative exercises and simulations that you might find interesting and to help yourself. What we'll be going through just about every week in the learning modules are videos. I choose which ones that I'll have you take quizzes on. This first chapter, you're taking a quiz after watching a video on Facebook privacy concerns, because privacy is so important to Americans. You click on the video, and it will load as a streaming video within your browser. These videos are 2-3 minutes long. Not a big deal, but it shows concepts in politics that they're not dead. You live with politics and what the government expects to be able to do every day. Okay, so once you watch the video, you come back to this screen, and here's a link to click here to answer the multiple choice questions. You go through, answer the questions. At the bottom of the page it says to submit for grading. It goes into my Poli-Sci Labs grade tracker. I look at it later and I'll transfer them to my grades for Blackboard. Well, that's about it for my Poli-Sci Lab. Hopefully you'll have an opportunity to go through these and kind of see what you can do with it. I think it's a great tool for online students to be able to have something to continually help them make sure that they understand what you're reading and the concepts we're going through. So, see you later.